as I drive behind a load of sweet corn, because yes, yours truly, Laura J, is pretty corny, I would say, and I am feeling quite excited and delighted because I look forward to offering you soul nourishment in the form of the book that rewrote me before I got to be the one that completed that version. And so I am super thrilled and excited because that baby arrived with 4 of its kind right before I headed out to see friends who supported me through the whole journey of writing it and becoming me who was able to do it. So, super, super excited. 4 is on the back of that truck, which is potentially befitting given the symbolic significance of the number 4. But all I wanted to say is that when I got in my car today, the song Champions, I don't know what it's actually called, was playing. And I love it, except for the parts about leaving a handprint on her derriere to send back to her boyfriend. That's less than honorable. However, in my book, I do share a similar tale, though in a different way from a different perspective, and say that if we can actually learn to stand in honor better by not allowing ourselves to be deceived by the ones who will leave us holding the bag so that we pay with our lives and souls, breathe that one in, baby, because truth is resonant. It is felt. Truth has a spirit of its own. That is what we must remember, to hone the voice within, our intuition, the tuition our soul paid ahead of time to guide us through this life, that one life we get to live as us, the original. Yeah, baby, you are not aboriginal. You are not alternative. You are a native to these lands, as am I. Whichever lands you were born to, you are native of. And what I say to you is that there are a lot of different clans and tribes of BS that would like to divide us, which is why the religions have made it so we think that we are more different than similar. I was about to say similarity. But we believe ourselves to be more different than similar simply because of the BS that we share with those like us and those who are different than just simply have different BS and maybe different hues to their skin. But the surface is not where we live. We must go deep into the core, the heart of who and whose we are, remembering the French word for heart is coeur, with a U and an E and an O and an R and a C too, because that is what we must do, see ourselves and one another, but not on the maritime admiralty water laws that would govern the courts and have us be purported to be other than we are. I say no more. I will not acquiesce your request. Means no, says the captain from Pirates of the Caribbean. I quote that one in my book too. Did you know not all who wander are lost? Oh no. Some of us just take longer to arrive back where we started, knowing it for the first time and saying, hey, come online, but not the internet. Log into the internet of you and let your inner web be the worth, esteem, and belief you have for yourself. Self-worth, self-esteem, and self-belief is the web we must weave in order to make sure that we do not allow the spider of the internet to make us think that the devices we hold are smarter simply because they have access to more ledges that others know and say is the limit. That is the top of where we have access to, simply because it was the edge of someone else's comfort zone. Well, darling, I don't fit in many comfort zones, let's be clear. It's taken a lot to get here and say, I don't give. 2 F's I was about to say, but then I thought maybe I'll just keep it PG, parental guidance. I'll be the parent to myself and say, hey, let's not hide it. Let's not hide how great we are, because if I am great and you are too, there does not need to be a number 2 if you treat yourself as your number 1, and I do too. Where is the number 2? Well, there wanna be one. Don't you see how great we can be if we stop competing with one another and instead look inside and choose to see the inner me as my competition, and yours is yours. Your higher self is the one that you can compete with, because in the end, we're our own best friend. If we're willing to see the truth in you, remember too that you is plural, even though it doesn't seem that way. In the law there are multiple definitions to make us think we're talking about the same thing, when the truth is legalese is a different language we're not versed in, which means we're not competent. And if we declare ourselves dumb and need to be a ward of the court systems, well then we no longer get the final vote in the kingdom of us, because the courts will vote for us, and all who work for it are sworn to a bar they must limbo under to keep their license, which would say they're other than they are. A status is made to be higher than the standing men actually have, and women too, and we claim the right and then stand on our claims. It's possible, even though the legal professionals would say it's impossible to do that. Impossible is in there too, if we just choose to use the letters to serve instead of deflate us and say that status cannot stand alone. So I say, hey, why not get rid of the status altogether and just stand, be fully committed to being the man or woman that you are, and say this baby will be ready for you to purchase very soon. If you're interested in having a signed copy from me, I'd like to look at you in the moment where I make my offer, because that's what all BS is. Belief systems are just offers, summonses too. Every offer can be accepted or not, we get to choose. And so I say, if you choose to read the book that rewrote me before I got to bring this one to life for you, even though it's in print, which means it's not living, except the word lives on, because you get to read it and then say hey or nay. You get to choose, and I hope you will use not just the mind, but the intuition and the heart to feel your way through it as you go. There's my song for today, and if you'd like to say you want a signed copy, as I said before, well then shoot me an email and let me know. 25 Canadian or shipping too. 100 for 5 copies plus the shipping too. And if you do want more or to help me promote it, then I'll be happy to help you in that process, and also say that's possible. I should not have done what I did, but no one got hurt in that moment. It maybe was a close call, but nay. we're all okay. So I'll carry on my way and say, white light, me and you too, because white light is the highest and non-denominational too. White is all inclusive, even though the word inclusive would say not excluding anything. It's a one-sided agreement legally, did you know that? I bet not, which means all of the agreements made between the men and women who then saw themselves to be other than they were when they first made their roar. The lion force goes opposite me. Well, don't you see? A one-side agreement, which is what includes means, does not actually transfer all of the promises made to the original. It is crazy, yes, but ab means from or away from the original. It's all right there for us to see, a hard pill to swallow indeed, but that's why you get prescribed. Connect the dots on the RV right beside me. The universe supports us when we're willing to look for the signs as we drive along between the lines. And to know sometimes we must cross the lines to not just be the monster or be convenience. The max shop is what was there for me. If you're in Norfolk County, you'll know where I am along my drive in, traveling in my private capacity as a woman with all common law rights reserved, which means the status of driver doesn't apply to me, because this is not a commercial traveling experience or expedition, so the status of driver does not technically apply to me. And these are the things that we must see with the inner eye and come to understand as well, but not standing under the jurisdiction of the police, who might say that it's another way. They will do their best to change our states. That's why they will say freeze, and you'll say, okay, let me change my substance to conform to your forms. Well, I got formed. First a Form 1 and then a Form 3, which took my rights away from me because I thought I had them, and then I found out my person does not. And that's when I found there's something wrong with the current way of the world, and it would consume us if we let it. And I just say, no more can we afford to go along with the BS. And so I'll say I'm gonna let you go on your way and wish you well for today. Harmony Bakery is where I go. By now you'll know where I am and where I was. Breathe deeply into the present moment and just know that you'll be too much for some. That's okay. Art is not for everyone. Our taste is all different, and so I say some will like it and others won't, and that's okay. I don't take it on personally. I just say I'm enough as I am and don't need no status to define me, nor do you. That's what I wanted to say in this diatribe or soliloquy. Actually, if I were on the stage, that would be what it is called, and I quoted one from a Shakespeare play in Chapter 1. Let's have some fun. To be or not to be is the question we must ask ourselves. We all play different roles. What we'll behold is what we choose to stand for. choices for that time. Now we would choose differently. Don't you see? And say it as it is, and then I'll say, my friend, I wish you a blessed day. Laura J. Namaste. Namago for today. Oh, hey, I want to read the Grace Baptist Church signage out front, and then I'll go. Oh no, did I miss it? Really? I thought it was up here. That's funny. I look forward to that sign, so thank you for putting cool things on it. I'm sorry I misjudged that, but it happens, and when we do that, we just say, okay, it's okay. Namaste, namago for today.